Now, let's say you have a database over here that holds a client's information or company's information that you work with. So this database has some records of your clients, and you also have a risk criteria, let's say, because that's almost what we want to build. A risk criteria PDF file. So once you start in this company, you gotta read this PDF and go through training to learn how you assess risk of a company based on the records that they have. Once you learn that, you go through that database and you come up with it's risky because the risk assessment says the data points are X and Y. And we want to automate that process. You send a query, say how risky is XYZ, company XYZ. The model goes retrieves relevant data around that company, then goes and learns the risk assessment criteria and picks up the points that are needed using RAG, and then cross-checks the information and gives you an output. Now, in order to achieve that, we go back to home, go to Studio, create a new project. We call it SQL RAG app. We probably use the same model because it's open source and also lightweight. We then need a data connector, a database connector. So we go to data connectors, we pick a SQL connector, and we need a RAG to upload the criteria, risk criteria. So we again need 1 GPU, 1 hour. Database is MySQL, and this is admin. Got it here. We have the table, the primary key of that table, and we call it MyDB. We have to upload our risk assessment criteria, which is here. And we call it MyKB. So now I can just save that, but it doesn't quite do what we want. If we want to arrange the workflow to adhere to this process, we then need to go to workflow management, which system generates a default workflow for us. So when you generate a workflow, default workflow, the model is always in the center, and whatever you add with the RAG database will be around surrounding the model. Now, as you can see, it kind of also visualizes the block. The SQL has a lot of processes within that step by step that gets executed. We call them nodes. Combination of nodes are a block. Now, you've got your SQL block and you've got your RAG block, but again, as you can see, they are sort of parallel. We don't want it parallel. We want to go grab data from here and then from there go to here. So we add something called a bridge, and we say as soon as you finish your process with SQL, because that's the last node of SQL connector, go to RAG, and we now should have something called a bridge. Yes, so this is our bridge. We can customize the bridge. You can pass things using a JSON parser, or in this case, I think we need just text. So we can say this is the user query, and this passes the original circulated syntax. So you can always use syntaxes like, for example, output.sql, and this gives the output of SQL. But for this use case, it's very simple. 2 modules. We say this is the record finding about oops, the company in the database. Use the result to cross-check this finding against risk assessment criteria. And that breach will do the magic for us. So we save it here as well. We go back to our deployment helm or the project helm. We compile it. So now again, the model is gonna be uploaded. We're gonna have the source files and the workflow will be compiled, and we'll have a deployment strategy for this particular workflow or project. Now we build the image. Right, so this application is now deployed and it's running. So let's go and we can ask about company XYZ. And in the meantime, we can also check what's happening. So as you can see, the program, we're not going to go to the details of the logs, but it's executing the steps one by one, from SQL to RAG until it gets a response. So if you read the in your own time, if you read the response, it's clear that it's gone through the database, found some risk score or the data points that were there, assumed that the risk score is 65, and it's gone through the RAG documentation, retrieved the relevant kind of risk assessment categories and criteria, and how to put that data points into context, if you want to say, and synthesize the response for it. So it's clear. If you want to quickly go through it, we can see that it's gone through the database, created a index store, indexed the data, and from there it has gone through this is the thing. So you've got your RAG after the SQL. Once the SQL retrieval is done and synthesizing is done, it's gone through RAG, went through our breach, and found a node or that relevant criteria, put them into context, generated the response.